Cool. All right, and moving into a surprise announcement this week, which was the Nintendo Indie World Showcase announced and went live within 24 hours. The right way to do it for these kind of events, in my opinion. We've picked out 2 items from that announcement that we find interesting. There's plenty more on it, so you can jump on and watch the whole showcase. I think it was about 20 to 30 minutes from memory. It wasn't too long. Kind of zipped through. I actually watched it all live. Oh, no. In the morning when sort of jumped on. But anyway, the first one was Sea of Stars. So, Swinny, do you want to take this away?
Yeah, so this is what opened the showcase and is also what made the headlines, and understandably so. This is the next game by Sabotage Studio, who made The Messenger, as it just popped up on our B-roll. Now, this is not a new announcement. This was actually announced back in March 2020. It was kickstarted as well. I think it raised 1.7 million Australian dollars as part of its Kickstarter. And that's understandable because The Messenger was awesome, and The Messenger has a lot of fans. And this game is definitely plays differently to The Messenger, but is apparently set in the same world. So this is... Sorry, Mike, you about to say something?
No, I'm surprised. Looks different to me.
It'd be interesting. It'd be great if they had the shopkeeper from The Messenger pop up somehow. But this is actually due for release at the end of next year, so it's not about to release or anything. But it is currently confirmed for PC and Switch. But they have teased that other console or other platform announcements are due fairly soon. So I think it's going to be on everything by the sound of it, or at least on PlayStation. So this is an RPG, and for anybody watching the footage on our clip here, no surprise that it wears its its influence on its sleeve, which is Chrono Trigger. This game basically looks like a real cool modern version of Chrono Trigger, but it's not the only inspiration. So its battle system's definitely and the map and everything you saw very Chrono Trigger, where it's got like an ATB style system where your placement on the map actually makes a difference with your, the cone of your attacks and the spacing, and you can do crossover attacks with your party members. But they've actually added in like a Mario RPG or Paper Mario style reaction based attacks. So press do the timing based on blocking attacks. And I'll talk about that in our Game Awards later, because I played a lot of those style of games. But also they say Illusion of Gaia as well, or Gaia, however you say it.
I always say Gaia, but yeah.
Gaia, yeah. So, which is a great game to want to, to kind of get inspiration from. But there's no random encounters, which is awesome. And we'll have lots of side activities like fishing, cooking, card game, cool stuff there. It's apparently a guest composer. I don't think he's probably the sole composer on the game, but Yasunori Mitsuda, who actually composed Chrono Trigger as well as Chrono Cross and Xenogears and Xenoblade Chronicles.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so you see that a lot these days where you've got games that are being inspired by other games, and they get the composer to come back and actually do like at least 1 or 2 tracks, which I think is a cool trend. And the plot has you taking on the Fleshmancer. And when I heard that term, Mike, it just reminded me of The Witcher 2, where there's that joke about lesbomancy in the cutscene. I just now can't separate those two jokes. But yeah, I think this looks awesome.
Oh yeah, I think it looks incredible. I feel like these kind of games, they're almost the vision of what would have happened if, we didn't go down the 3D route. And I know I keep saying this, but it's just like, it's very, very cool that we're getting these type of games. Same as like Octopath Traveler. There was a new trailer for Triangle Strategy, which is such a weird title for a game.
It's not that much more weirder than Ogre Battle or Tactics Ogre when you think about it.
Yeah, but I think that's just a more quaint time, you know what I mean? Like, you'd have games just called pinball or like baseball, right?
Golf.
Golf. I think that's a different time. Like right now, to call a game Triangle Strategy, it's pretty bold. But like, it's quite funny because the art style is so amazing. But like, this is different, but it's also very cool. I love when they do the sort of pixel based lighting effects. I think you'd like that kind of stuff as well, Mike, where it's just they've manipulated the bitmap colors of the actual pixels like with the lighting. It's just so crazy how they're doing this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. It's very, very
Looked
cool.
amazing.
But like, even if I don't play it, honestly, I just will buy it because it's like, I want to support games like this. I want more games like this. So
Mm.
I got to be careful about that because it feels like we're starting to get a deluge of these type of games, which is cool. And there was one more. I didn't know too much about this one, Swinny, but there was one more that you wanted to cover.
Yeah, so this game, it's called Omori. And this was the One Last Thing game that they had. And when I read because I didn't watch the indie showcase before I read like, oh, here's the summary of things that got announced. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not sure what that game is. And then when I actually watched the indie showcase, it jogged my memory. I remember this game. This game has been around for ages, or at least has been talked about for ages. So this was Kickstarter back in 2014.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this game has been in production for ages, and it only came out December last year. And I'd forgotten all about this game. I didn't know it'd come out already and everything like that. And honestly, the indie showcase did not do this game justice at all. So I didn't actually choose the trailer that they used for that. I chose another trailer. Now, Nintendo's obviously, they focus a bit more on things that are going to be a bit more family friendly in terms of their presentations. This game, it makes sense why they didn't show the trailer that I've got, because you'll see that it actually gets a lot darker. This game is pretty wild. So it's the brainchild of Japanese artist called Omacat, and it's based on their webcomic series. So that's why it had already had fans to get Kickstarter back in 2014. I think it raised 30,000. Sorry, not 30,000. That was its goal, and it raised $285,000. So it absolutely smashed its goal. But yeah, it was in development for 6 years. It was originally one of the stretch goals was to release on the Nintendo 3DS. But with the Nintendo 3DS kind of reaching the end of its life, they moved the development onto the Switch. And this is actually a game built in RPG Maker, specifically RPG Maker MV. Now, we don't know if the Switch version is using the same platform engine as that. I'd assume it probably could, and they'll probably make adjustments necessary. But it's actually about what's called a hikikomori. So that's like a shut-in, like a social recluse. And it's a big thing, not a big thing, but it's a trend in Japan that there's people that kind of stay inside all the time. And it's about a person like that also has like an alter ego, and it's a very psychological, it's basically a psychological horror game in many ways. And it deals with like split across the real world and the dream world. So it's very much, while it's darker, you could definitely see the inspiration from Earthbound. But one of the biggest inspirations for this game is a game that not everyone would have heard of, but it's the first thing I thought of when I saw this game and it jogged my memory, which is a game called Yume Nikki, which was also an RPG Maker game from 2004 that kind of blew up on the internet, very much like a creepypasta style game, if you're familiar with that term, where it's like, games where there's more, they're very breaking the fourth wall and everything. But what I really, really like about this game is it plays into the whole psychological part. So the battle system, while it's a turn-based battler, it's actually based, it's kind of like Fire Emblem, where you've got your rock, paper, scissors attacks. And I don't know if you can bring up that image, Indigot, that I shared with you before.
What image?
The image that we're going to overlay.
No idea what you're talking about.
You're just bullshitting me. So you can see, for anyone watching on YouTube, that the actual emotions of happiness and being angry and sad actually form that rock, paper, scissors of the battle system, which I think is really, really cool. And then there's actually status effects that take it to further down the extremes of emotions. So really, really cool ideas. I'm actually now super pumped to try this game. I didn't mention it's actually coming out in Q2 next year. So it's not too far away. Yeah, so I don't think Nintendo's Indie Showcase did this game justice in trying to explain it at all. But I kind of understand why they didn't get into the psychological horror part too much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Oh,
Cool.
nice.
I talked a lot there, so sorry for talking your ears off.
No,
No, that was really cool. That was really fascinating, actually.
I like
They
the
both
deep
look
lore
really
on
good.
RPG Maker games all the way back from 2004. We do need to dig out your game one time.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got it still.
Oh no! Are you
Yeah,
serious?
I think the hard drives that it was on have probably failed at this point. So
that would actually
it's
make
lost
me
to
sad,
the annals
man.
lost to the annals of time.
You could remake it and it'd be better.
Oh yeah,
Just make the sequel.
the sequel to the
Remember
game that
the
never got
initial-
made.
All right, let's move on to our last